So this is your driver definition, and then here is the properties for the which database you are using. So we already generate this database. We already saw this the script, and this is the user, and this is the password of the database. This is the most important part. For the multi-part file uploads, we set it like the maximum size 50 megabyte, 15, or we can say 20 up to 40. So that means after 40 megabyte you can upload the files or multi-part file systems. And then that's the configuration. It's the same thing here for the development. When you run the applications in the development environments, that means we are running the applications in the as it is, so this is the default one. So you run the same settings, and here also the production is the same setting. What you have to need, just I will show you later how can deploy the application. So if you didn't have any port free for this number in your deployment machines or anywhere in the world, then you have to change your port number and your machine number, and that's all. And you have to change in the database number. It's done by automatically, but the configuration files, that's I already wrote it here. In the later section, I will show you how can you write a simple command or batch file to run the applications, to dynamically or externally change those properties and to deploy the application anywhere in the world, in any machines in the. And then this is the same thing I said. It's the same thing, almost same, everything same. For my case, it's like it says a development environment, production, QA, quality assurance, and then the release and the test, and the QA. QA mean user acceptance environment. So that means I have in total 6 environments with my development environments in here. So let's have a start our to the structure again to define it. How can we do it? So this is our project structure. So you see the project structure as a professional way to build this project. And this is our main applications, and we annotated this one. So this you can run it from this application to the locally test or locally deploy it here. This is run application, and that's all. So, and then here is in the model package and repository package, resource package, service and service implementation package, and this is the utility package. So let's go our model package. So in the model definition, we have already all the models definitions. So here is our user registration models, and it's generated this name of the tables and entity, and this is the most important part. So this is our generations sequence generation part. As I said before starting those, you have to generate those 5 sequence, and then after that you have to call those sequence to generate your IDs. So I call the generated just what I did, what I already generated this sequence from here. So you see the sequence generator. So it started from 300 because I have a lot of tests, and then 381 is running. The next generation will be, the next number will be the 382, and so on so forth. So that's so that here is our five utility classes. Utility classes, and then I see the utility package, and that has a sequence address sequence generator with calling the sec address, and then there's a documents ID generator, the sec documents, and this is your user registration ID generator and user role ID generator. So that's the all the generators did the call of the respective sequence that you already did the generations. So just when you generate the sequence and you implement the utility package, the classes, and you need to call the utility class to inject the generated values to your primary key. So you see that ID and generic generator generated value, and then that means generic generator build your sequence and set the sequence and number to your primary key. So here is the, that's I said, the possible content for the user registration. You see that the address ID, that means where you are located in geographically or physically, and then this is the registration user first name, last name, middle name, and so on so forth, and the user registration, and then the password, and this is and when the user is created, and then so on so forth. And they say that every user has multiple roles. So in the role definition, it has a role ID, role name, and role type, and then when the role is created, and you see the call of the role generator sequence. So it's injected the generated role sequence number, and then put it here. So go back again, and that means it has a one user register user has multiple user role, and then one user can upload the multiple files. So let's see the multiple file definitions, the models, and it has contained the same thing is the sequence generator, injected sequence, and this is the important, is embedded. So that means we embedded our content in the download, and this download file the download by upload files is containing the embeddable annotated, and this is important, so you should put it here, the mapped superclass. That means this class has to be embedded to the parent or the other class. As a content, this content has to be embedded to the other class. So is it file name, file type, and size of the file, and content of the file. And this is then the one register user has a multiple address. So we go to the address informations, then address, and the same thing here, the calling the address sequence, and put the sequence ID in the address ID, and embedded to the address information. So address at the moment, address information is containing only the reference address ID, or maybe from the Google Maps or OpenStreetMap. They contain the IDs and see the physically and geographically where is it located. But this part still we need to extend it. Maybe the next release to the end client to extend those functionalities, the geo functionalities. So I put it here, the city and the road and road type and house number, postal code, and country, those information in the most model definitions. So that means we did our model definitions, and it's as for the requirements in the previous screencast, in the presentation screencast. So this is our model definition is done. So what we need to we have to define our repositories. So the data access repositories. So here is our repositories definition. So we annotate a repository as a repository, and then we interface repository, and we use the JPA repository, even though you can use here CRUD repository or paging and sorting repository, depending how you handle your data access process, how you handle your CRUD operations. So here the definition for all the repositories. So address repository is we find it to use default repository because this is the one-to-one. There is nothing to map with other objects. So if you this integration did for you everything, you don't need nothing to do implement in the service or service implementations. But you have to go to the URL and build your CRUD operation for address information. And here the file upload information, because we need some such a control for those repository, the file upload repository. So that's why we use the standard repository annotation and build implement the service and service implementations. And the user registration, you see the same thing. And this is the user role definition we used, because user role is a really bottom level URL or URL path, and then we put it like standard one, the repository REST resources, because even though you can use here JPA and then or standard repository, and then you build yourself to get the more control to the service implementations. So our repository is done. And then we need to define our services. So here is the next package, our service definition. So we define our interface as a service, those 5, the CRUD operation for the services. what we need, and then we when then each of the service. So let's say finish our interface definition first. So it's the same things, and then here is we will just only implement 2, and then here is the 5 6, and then here is the user role definition. So we didn't implement yet nothing here. So that means when you are repository definition as a standard repository, then you have to implement yourself to user role service. So this is good way to do it. That means when you define yourself